This video is brought to you by Incogni. It's the first trend in a while that actually trusts you to have your own personality and express that within your space. Hi everybody, my name is Cooper. I'm an interior decorator, and on this episode of Trendy versus Timeless, we are talking about minimalism. Okay, so what does minimalism mean? I think everybody out there has a different definition for it, but I would describe it as a smashed version of maximalism and minimalism. On one side, we have minimalism, which tells you to show less, own less, and feel less. In contrast, maximalism tells you to pile it on and let chaos be the aesthetic of the space. But minimalism is kind of centered in the middle of that. I would say its general ethos is to keep what's meaningful to you, display it in a way that feels really intentional, and to let your home breathe. Let it feel like an actual home that people live in and not a museum. I don't know why I always start off these videos talking so fast, but now I need a sip of my coffee to recover, and I'm just feeling a little sad. So I think I really need to, get a little get a little bit happy. The way that I like to think about this is by zooming out a little bit and taking a look at how minimalism and maximalism have reacted to each other within the last couple of years. So the formation of minimalism was pretty much a reaction to the clutter of maximalism and vice versa. And the reason why I think minimalism is really interesting is because it doesn't seem to be a reaction to anything like a lot of other trends are. Genuinely, I think it's just like what people actually want, which is a home that feels calm, but it still feels like them at the end of the day. So why is this happening right now in 2026? More specifically, why did the entire design world suddenly agree on a middle ground after a decade of swinging back and forth from extremes? Well, the first thing that I thought of here is the sustainability of living inside a trend. So maximalism and minimalism are both trends that have reacted to each other, and they're both quite extreme. For example, within minimalism, it has a very core problem at its center, that it tends to lean a little bit cold and sterile. Minimalism was really obsessed with having this smooth, seamless, perfect finish. If we look at this from a purely psychological standpoint as well, it does make a lot of sense. Humans are animals just like any other living being, and we do not want to live in a hyper-synthetic environment. We want to have a lot of natural materials incorporated into the designs of our homes, so it feels calming and it feels natural to us. If we take a look at the other side of the equation with maximalism, it's not much better. I think maximalism asks a lot of the people that opt into that style category, because not only does it ask you for a high tolerance for visual noise and chaos, but it also asks you for a larger budget. Period, point blank, more stuff is going to mean more cost at the end of the day. And that's why doing maximalism badly is really, really easy to do. And being able to do maximalism well is personally, I think, one of the most advanced styles for designers and decorators to perform. I am also a really big proponent of quality over quantity. I always think that it's better to wait a couple months and invest in a furniture piece or a decor item that you're really going to love, even if it costs a little bit more. And I think when people want to jump into maximalism and do it at a fast pace, they are much more likely to compromise that quality in order to get that more maximalist-esque space. So a lot of people tried it. What I think happened is they got overwhelmed and then quietly started backing away from the leopard print, the animal print, the frames with no photos in them, all of that business. We've all been talking about stripping things back, removing the excess, and keeping only what matters to us. I think about this constantly when it comes to design, but honestly, almost never when it comes to the privacy of my own personal data. Because here's something kind of unsettling. There are entire companies out there called data brokers, whose whole business model is collecting your personal information, whether that be your phone number, your email address, your home address, your browsing habits, everything. And they're selling it to advertisers, marketers, to pretty much whoever will buy it. And almost none of us have any idea that it's happening. But that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in, because Incogni is what I use to protect my own personal data. All you have to do is connect it to your personal info, and it automatically contacts data brokers for you on your behalf and requests that they remove any of your information. You can also set customized removals. So if there's specific information or specific brokers you want to prioritize, you can target those directly. It handles all the back and forth so you don't have to, because there are hundreds of these companies companies, and doing it manually would pretty much be impossible. It's one of those things out there that once you realize that it exists and how it operates, you can't really justify not doing it. Use code COOPERO at the link below for 60% off an annual plan. Visit incogni.com/COOPERO to sign up for your plan today. Thank you so much to Incogni for sponsoring today's video. Now back to minimalism. Okay, so the next reason that I was thinking about when preparing for this video is just the fact that living in today's day and age is very expensive. If you are an average person, it is expensive to live. And I think for so long, we've been pushed by different industries into trying to give in to a super fast moving trend cycle. You know, think of things like kidcore or cottagecore or the beige aesthetic or boucle or items like the Togo sofa or the cloud couch. People are starting to get tired of replacing every single piece in their home every 2 years. While within the style of minimalism tells people to keep things that actually mean something to them. And while a lot of people will choose to look at that as an aesthetic, I think it's also a financial strategy in order to feel more secure within today's society, since we can't spend as much money as we once did. So let's talk about what actually makes up a minimalist space, right? Like, what even is there in it? It sounds kind of vague. All right, so I think the first thing that minimalism really puts an emphasis on is starting with a really strong foundation. So when you go to pick out your furniture and you're walking around the store, you'll see a couple things. You know, you'll see a beige sofa, you'll see a brown rug, maybe a jute rug, something like that, and you'll go, oh, okay, I can match a lot of stuff to this. And so then you buy those things and you go to Target and you get a bunch of little decor items there to help give it some color and dress it up. One thing I want to note is that that is a very high cost way to design your home. Instead, I recommend being a little bit more adventurous within the foundation of your space. So I like to start every single room that I design with the anchors of the space. So when it comes to a living room per se, I'll start off with a sofa that I really love for my client space, something that's really going to work for them and their family, maybe a few chairs that they find really interesting, and then we'll source a rug. But when I go about making all of those decisions, it's really important that you don't play it safe, because do you really want to have a bunch of colorful clutter in your space, or do you just want to have a colorful, solid foundation that you can love for years and years and years, and you don't have to swap out the small decor items bi-monthly? And within the same domain, right? I think that in minimalist spaces, we also do see a lot of desaturated versions of colors. So one of the problems with minimalism, as we discussed before, is its lack of color and warmth. And so what minimalism strives to do is introduce a little bit of that, but not make it as overwhelming as maximalism might be. So what I find and I see a lot in these spaces is maybe a purple, but it's desaturated a little bit, so it's more of an eggplant. Maybe a bright red that's desaturated a little bit into a burgundy. A lot of these jewel tone colors that are very rich and grounding. And personally, I really love that. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed right now because you feel like your whole living room is boring and beige and you want to introduce some more warmth and color into it, something that you can do, like just this weekend, is go onto Etsy, find some really unique sellers, and maybe just swap out your throw pillows on your couch. I know it's not crazy. I know it is a small decor item, but if you already have everything in your space and you don't want to replace it, go out and get like a dusty olive throw pillow or a burgundy one with a fun pattern or a pillow with a tiger on it or something that just makes you happy and that you will really love within your own home. The next thing that I see a lot in these spaces is a heavy emphasis on texture. In the minimalist era, we saw a lot of smooth and flat and matte surfaces. But in Midimalism, we see the opposite of that. We see a lot of natural fibers like linen or wool, a lot of raw wood grains that might be a little bit more darker or maybe a little bit more red toned, maybe some unique hand-thrown ceramics, a chunky throw pillow, just a bunch of different elements that are really going to infuse the space with a lot of texture and give it a lot of visual stimulation. So the reason that I'm really happy about this infusion of texture is because texture is such a big thing in design. Design is really about stimulating all the different senses, okay? maybe besides like taste. Besides the point, texture is how maybe a space that's a little bit more sparse in furniture pieces can still feel really interesting because texture is the thing that gives the eye something to do in the room. For the past few years within the modern farmhouse aesthetic, I think we've also gotten this micro trend of having a lot of different things within the space being curved. And while I'm not against curves 100%, I definitely think the application of it within the Danish pastel style and the modern farmhouse style is a little bit overkill. But another reason why I really love minimalism is because it does have a balance between, curving surfaces and geometric ones. You really want to put curves in moderation. Like anything else in life, spaces really need to feel balanced. So maybe you get a really cool, colorful, curved sofa and then a more angular structural coffee table. Or maybe you find a really cool floor lamp with a more geometric base and then the shade is like nice and rounded and curved. So if I had to put my finger on the primary characteristic of minimalism, what I would tell you is that every object in the room has to earn its place. I would say that this is probably the soul of the entire design ethos. In a minimalist room, nothing is going to be filler and nothing is going to be random. Every single piece within the room has to have a purpose, it has to invoke some kind of emotion in you, and it really has to earn its place within the space. If it doesn't feel like it needs to be there, it probably doesn't at all. So there's a little bit of a fancy industry term for this, and it's called curated layering. It's not about having more stuff, it's about having more intention. Every piece, every texture, every material is going to be part of the story of the room rather than just being there to be there. I have a little test for you guys that you can try out in your own home to really see what needs to stay and what needs to go. It's very simple. It's kind of Marie Kondo-esque as well. So you can pick up any object in your space and ask yourself, does this thing mean something to me? Or is it just here because, it makes sense theoretically? Within a minimalist room, everything is going to pass that test. I can guarantee that most of the stuff in our rooms right now, including my own, are probably not going to pass that test. And that's okay. You're not going to be perfect. But I think it always helps to revisit that. So how do we actually get to having a minimalist space without throwing everything away, starting over? Well, good news for you guys. Minimalism is one of the most achievable trends that we have seen thus far because it's built around using what you already have. Okay, I have a little list of different steps that I wrote down of what you can do to bring your space into a minimalist one. Step number 1 is going to be removing things before you add anything. Start by editing your space and not by going on Amazon or going on Target or, West Elm and buying something. This step is free and it's like 90% of the work. The next thing that you're really gonna wanna do is warm up your palette a little bit. I'm not saying you need to repaint or do anything crazy, but start with the soft stuff. It could be a throw pillow or blanket or just another textile within your home and move them from cool toned colors into warm toned ones. This is going to be the highest impact change that you can make for your home without adding a bunch of cost. I'm actually redoing my parents' kitchen at the moment, and their house prior was all cool tones. It was like all gray, all white, all concrete, not a very warm space to be in. And within our renovation, we are shifting that. We are changing all of the colors to warm toned colors and warm toned woods. As you see, not a lot of things were changed, but we shifted the general tone of the colors within the space to make it feel a little bit more warm and a little bit more homey. Next, you can add a layer of texture. So pick one surface in your home and try and make it feel a little bit more tactile. You could throw like a big chunky blanket on your couch. Maybe you put a couple pieces of like empty ceramics on a shelf in your space. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just give it an element of like being a little bit more handmade. And the last step that you're going to want to do is choose at least one bold thing to put in your space. Maybe it's one bold piece of art. Maybe it's one bold vintage chair. One really saturated color. It doesn't have to be many. It can only be one if you want, but introducing some contrast into your space is really going to be key to making it feel balanced and beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about the real question here. Is minimalism trendy or timeless? I know this feels very black and white, but for the first time in a long time throughout this series, I actually do think that minimalism is a timeless style. Let me tell you why. Every trend that we've covered on this channel that aged badly pretty much had the same flaw. It was a very specific, recognizable look. If we think about it, millennial gray was a look, a beige home was a look. And the reason why they have those names in the first place is because they are so within their own worlds and nothing else. If you think about it, minimalism isn't really one specific look. It's more so a principle. Stay warm, stay personal, don't swing from extreme to extreme. Don't give in to the trend of the moment. And I don't think those are necessarily like June 2026 ideas. I think those are just genuinely good ideas and good advice to follow for interiors. People were definitely doing a version of this in like 1850, and they'll still be doing a version of it in 2150. The one thing I have to really be honest about here is the actual term of minimalism. I do think that term is going to die. I don't think that term is a sustainable term to coin this style, but that's fine. As long as you retain the ideas that lay underneath that, it's not going to go anywhere. Minimalism was never something that was super new. It's just genuinely what good design has been throughout the last decades and decades and decades. So my final verdict here is that the name is trendy, the style is timeless, and if you build your home around the principle instead of the label, I think you have a good chance of having a great outcome. Here's what I keep coming back to at the end of the day. We spent so much time bouncing from trend to extreme to making our homes look better for other people and not ourselves, and not actually having a personal investment in it. But the answer here is really the most obvious thing in the world. I am a huge proponent of making your space feel like you, make it feel personal, keep what you want to keep and what you really love. It doesn't matter what other people say about it. It doesn't matter what criticism you get, but also be honest with yourself. If you've been giving into trends, hold yourself accountable for that, because you don't need to be wasting your money on dupes or things that are going to break in a couple years or any of that. Maybe minimalism is actually so refreshing because it's not new. Maybe it's just that it's the first trend in a while that actually trusts you to have your own personality and express that within your space. Anyways, that's minimalism. That's all that I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about minimalism in the comments. Is it a style you think is trendy or timeless? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And if you didn't know, this is actually what I do for a living. I'm an interior decorator, and I offer both full service design to design your space from start to finish, as well as per room consultations, where we can go over a room in your space that maybe feels a little off or a little weird and come up with a plan for it to turn it into something that you really love. There's a ton of really great information about it on my website, and you can click the link in the description to book your service today. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for coming back to my channel. It really means the world to me. I am here every single Sunday at 6 a.m. PST. So if you'd like to subscribe and come back, I would really love that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna finish my happy coffee here, and I will see you guys. And I thought I almost dropped it. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks again to Incogni for sponsoring today's video. For a little bit more information about them, you can check out the description.